As we get closer, one of the things that everybody wants to know is, what should I do about my fantasy team? I know I certainly have a lot of questions. We already have some here in the chat as well. So let's bring on our fantasy expert here on the Locked On Podcast Network, host of the Locked On Fantasy Football Podcast, Vinnie Iyer, at Vinnie Iyer on Twitter. Vinnie, how are you, sir? Welcome in this morning.
Doing well. Nice shirt, Ross. Good job.
Thank you. I know we really we all got, we stayed nice and branded today, bringing it out.
We still have that. Obviously, Vinny, great to see you. We had a question earlier on here in our chat from Adam Schneider about whether or not he should put Austin Eckler in his lineup here today against the Washington football team. Obviously, some storylines there. Eckler appeared on the injury report, the hamstring. He'll be full go here today, but he's going against Washington football team. What should Adam do in this situation here?
Well, I don't like the chances of Justin Herbert. New offensive line here. I know they're excited about their changes up front, but you're also facing Chase Young and this Washington pass rush. Also, you got William Jackson III back there. Sneaky pickup. I think he was a little bit underrated here as a legitimate corner, one of the best corners in the NFL that no one really talks about. So it's going to be tough, I think, to get downfield and throw the ball downfield on this team. I think also Washington will have some success moving the ball. They're just loaded with their skill players. So you're going to have a lot of checkdowns to Eckler. That's what we're looking for. Can he get involved in the passing game? Does he have a good chance to score a touchdown? I think those are all fair points here because it's definitely an offense in transition. We know it's a Joe Lombardi system here. So I expect him to be involved in the passing game quite a bit because I think that's where Justin Herbert's going to have to go. I don't think there's going to be a lot of downfield balls that you're going to see. So a lot of short to intermediate stuff to not only Eckler, but Keenan Allen in this game.
Makes sense. Vinny, we have a lot of players in and out in this game. Are there any big names that fantasy owners should be checking their rosters last minute to make sure that they don't have them in, or make sure that they are included ahead of the Sunday action?
Yeah, I think we avoided all the major injuries this week. There's always guys going in not at 100% from training camp and preseason. We know the Ravens backfield. We're going to wait and see approach there.
Man,
but
yeah,
Tyson Williams is the guy you want to get in. I wouldn't quite look at Latavius Murray quite yet in your lineups. I mean, I just don't know what the role is going to be in the end. It's hard to just get up and running for your team in a short week and get ready for a game. So we'll see how that goes on Monday night. So you have a little bit of time to make that decision. But if you're comfortable with Tyson Williams, a guy that a lot of people may not have heard of until just a couple weeks ago, go ahead and do it because we know the game script is going to be great for the Ravens. They're against the Raiders on Monday night. So, yeah, we avoided the major stuff. I think your guys, if they're somewhat healthy in your lineup, go for it. Let's not question some guys here that you took ahead of other guys for a reason. Play them this week.
Well, week one's always hard to tell, right? Because we're only just basing things off of last year for the most part. Obviously, some matchups there. Vinny, for you, when you're looking at all these games here, is there just this absolute one matchup where you must start this player against this team?
Well, I think the best matchup, is going to be the Vikings and their passing game. So if you can get Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen in a lot of DFS lineups, and, of course, sneaky stack him with Kirk Cousins, either or there this week. Thielen is, of course, a little bit better value that you can get in your lineup. But no Trey Waynes, the former Viking, will not be there. And the secondary is pretty bad there otherwise because they lost Jackson to Washington. So a lot of question marks there at the back end. I think the Bengals actually might be a little bit better, the pass rush with Trey Hendricks in there and some of the guys that I think are going to be more active at linebacker. But I see Jefferson and Thielen just having big games together in this one. It actually could turn out to be one of the higher scoring games of the week. So on the other side, you look at Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase. It's hard because I think Patrick Peterson is going to play a little bit better than a lot of people expect back in this scheme that he's familiar with. So something to watch there. But I think there's going to be some points put up by both teams here because I don't trust either defense in the Minnesota-Cincinnati game.
I am warm in my heart at the idea of both Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson going at one another on this football action. I couldn't be happier. When it comes down to a couple of other spots, we've been asking folks about this: Jameis Winston, Matthew Stafford, and Ryan Fitzpatrick. These odds about them being the top three newcomers to throw for the most yards in week one. Is it any specific quarterback name stand out for you that's on a new team coming in? It could be Carson Wentz who's getting started. Any of these guys stand out to you as must-start options?
I wouldn't say must start, but Matthew Stafford, I think certainly can play in a 12-team league. What I'm worried about there is the Bears are not going to put up much offense in that game, so Matthew Stafford's volume is going to be limited. Where Jameis Winston, I know he's facing the toughest pass defense of all of them with Jair Alexander, but keep in mind the two outside linebacker pass rushers there, the Smith brothers, are a little bit hurt coming into this game. So there might be some time to throw. And again, high volume, I would expect. Aaron Rodgers is going to light up the Saints defense. We know it's not the same Saints defense. They're trying to duct tape it together in the secondary and try to make up for the loss of Hendrickson. Hopefully Marcus Davenport can step up. But you'd expect Aaron Rodgers to do his thing with Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams, put up some points. So Jameis Winston, we know from 2019, he's going to have the interceptions, but he's going to have a lot of passing volume, and that's why they had to go this way, because they knew their defense wasn't as good. And, there's always the check down to Alvin Kamara, which is going to help him produce as well. And we know the Packers linebackers are a little bit questionable there. So, yeah, there's ways for Jameis Winston to produce. Again, I don't see a lot of volume from Matthew Stafford. Carson Wentz, not going to trust a guy that missed most of the preseason on his new team with limited weapons, so not going there. But Ryan Fitzpatrick, I think, could have some success. I think more in the 252 range there. So I don't expect any massive games from any of those guys. But if you're looking for the highest volume, I think it's going to be Winston.
I like it here. And we got actually a comment in our chat here from Al's Toy Barn. He says, starting running backs, Derrick Henry, Robinson, Jacksonville, wide receivers, Terry McLaurin, DeAndre Hopkins. Who should I flex? Tyson Williams or Cortland Sutton, who's got a matchup against the New York Giants defense?
Well, I'm going with Tyson in this game because you look at Cortland Sutton, he's probably going to get James Bradbury, and that's not a good matchup. I mean, Jerry Jeudy is going to avoid that. I think Bradbury, just the size, his range here, length, I think that can give Sutton a lot of problems coming back from the knee injury. It's not the first thing you want to see getting back on the field, that matchup. And I think that's what people want to understand. The Giants defense is going to cause some problems for a lot of fantasy football players on the other side. So keep that in mind. Williams is playing the Raiders. I mean, even if he gets 15 carries in that game to support Lamar Jackson and or Latavius Murray, he's going to be productive, where Sutton could see a bit of a tough time here and shut down, especially with Teddy Bridgewater struggling to stretch the field in that game.
Love it. Vinny, one last question for me for you. I stream defenses. Which defense out there has the best matchup against maybe a faltering offense?
Well, you could look at the Panthers for sure. We don't know what we're going to get from Zach Wilson. I actually am high on Wilson over the long term, but it's still his first start as a quarterback. You could look at the Texans-Jaguars game if you're going to extract something.
Sure.
Maybe look at the Jaguars side, go there. But I think the best matchup, just for the nature of Jameis Winston having volume and maybe making some mistakes. We know there's always a good chance for a pick six with him. You definitely look at the Packers being a nice little streaming option for you this week. It's not a defense I like to trust week in and week out. They have some clunker games, but Winston might make some big plays and get yards, but there's going to be some turnovers there in that game. So Packers, if you're looking to stream, is not bad. And if you're looking for an either side matchup, maybe look at Washington. I know they're owned a lot of leagues, but Cody mentioned the Chargers, or maybe it was Sosa who mentioned the Chargers in the previous segment, but yeah, I'm really high on what Brandon Staley can do with the Chargers. So that's going to be a team we're going to watch all season long to maybe be a regular fantasy football defense at one point.
Yeah, love it. Vinny, we appreciate you so much for coming through. We'll be sure to keep up with you every Monday through Friday over in the Locked On Fantasy Football podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, and of course on Twitter at Vinnie Iyer. We'll be seeing you here again next week, sir. Thanks so much for coming through. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks, Ross. Cody, good luck in your matchups this week.
Thank you. Will be needed.